English opening, Neo-Catalan defense declined, 5.0006.b3b67.bb2bb78.e3. Sudden a close game that was lost by a mistake. That game was pretty competitive. Both players had an amazing opening. White was a cut above black in the middle game. Both players had a nice end game. The Reti is a less common but flexible opening that controls the center with the knight before committing a pawn. The d5 and e4 squares are under the control of nf6, which advances the knight into the center. In order to dominate the center from the long diagonal, g3 is getting ready to fianchetto the light-squared bishop to g2. d5 occupies a square in the middle and assaults e4 and c4. By positioning the bishop on a potent diagonal, this fianchettos the bishop. The d5 pawn is supported by e6 and the bishop on the dark squares can advance. Castling gets the king to a safer square, out of the center of the board, while also developing a rook. Castling kingside tends to be safer because the king is further from the center. As a result, the bishop grows and gains flexibility on the long diagonal. This defends the attacked pawn. By doing this, a bishop moves out of its beginning square and into the action. By positioning the bishop on a potent diagonal, this fianchettos the bishop. Castling develops a rook, while also moving the king to safety. Castling to the same side of the board as the opponent tends to lead to less sharp positions as compared with opposite side castling. By doing this, a knight moves out of its beginning square and into the action. This keeps the material balance in check with good commerce. Recaptures. This develops a knight from its starting square, activating it. This connects the rooks, which helps them coordinate together in the future. The rooks can see each other now, allowing them to provide mutual defense. It is the last book move. It's alright. That's good. While not a mistake, that is also not the wisest course of action. That's good. Perfectly on point. It is ideal. This provides an equal exchange of parts. It is quite good. This strikes a rival knight. It is ideal. It is a fair deal after all captures. It is ideal. Backs off. It is ideal. The knight is now on a square that is more secure. It is ideal. What I would have advised is that. It is ideal. The best choice is this one. It is ideal. Among the best actions. It is quite good. Very precise. It is best. Perfectly on point. It is ideal. A powerful play. It is quite good. A wise decision. It is quite good. There was only one good move there. This misses an opportunity to increase a bishop's scope by moving it to a better square. This allows the opponent to win a tempo by threatening a bishop. It is a mistake. When a bishop moves away from being attacked, this gains a tempo. It is ideal. The bishop is now on a square that is more secure. It is quite good. This misses a chance to advance a rook from its starting square. It is incorrect. This poses a risk of winning a pawn. It is incorrect. This keeps the material balance in check with good commerce. This prevents the adversary from winning a pawn. It is ideal. Recaptures. It is ideal. What I would have advised is that. It is ideal. This seizes a helpless pawn. It is ideal. This threatens to fork pieces. Only one move worked there, and this wasn't it? This overlooks an opportunity to develop a rook off its starting square. It is a mistake. There was only one good move in that position. This misses a better way to defend a pawn that was under attack. It is a miss. This poses a material threat. That's good. A pawn kicks the opposing knight, forcing it to move or risk being captured. That's good. This passes up a chance to acquire things. It is incorrect. It is a fair deal after all captures. It is ideal. This is an equal trade. This is the only good move. It is best. Backs off. It is ideal. This develops a rook off its starting square, getting it into the action. This is the only move that works. It is a great move. By moving a rook from its starting square, this activates it. This poses the risk of producing a passed pawn. It is ideal. This checks the king while also revealing an attack on a queen. It is ideal. A knight who checked the king is now captured. It is ideal. Recaptures. It is ideal. Backs off. It is ideal. This divides up parts by launching multiple attacks at once. It is quite good. This keeps the material balance in check with good commerce. It is ideal. This misses a chance to protect a pawn that was being attacked. It is incorrect. By doing this, the chance to double rooks on a single file is lost. It is incorrect. It was a free pawn there. It is quite good. Thus, the attacked pawn is protected. That is good. That is a logical response. It is quite good. That's a decent move. That's good. This buys time by putting a knight in danger and getting it to flee. That's good. This frees a rook to adequately defend another piece. It is best. This divides up parts by launching multiple attacks at once. That's good. The best choice is this one. It is ideal. The pawn is now passed because it can no longer be opposed as it attempts to promote by other pieces. That's good. Thus, a pawn is lost. It is incorrect. That pawn was available for free. It is ideal. Among the best actions. It is quite good. This defends the pawn that was attacked. It is quite good. It was a free pawn there. It is quite good. Therefore, a knight is attached to the king. It is ideal. By posing a threat to a queen and compelling it to flee, this wins a tempo. It is ideal. The queen is therefore moved to safety. It is ideal. Very precise. It is best. White is ahead at this point in the endgame. It is ideal. A pawn that was being attacked and had no defenses is now protected by this. This might indicate that a rook was attacked. It is ideal. A powerful play. It is quite good. This reveals an attack that poses a threat to a rook. It is quite good. After all captures, this is an equal trade. This is the only good move. It is best. Recaptures. It is ideal. This makes winning a rook possible. It is ideal. This prevents a queen on the other side from checking. It is ideal. This comes in several sections. It is quite good. This prevents a queen on the other side from checking. It is ideal. That pawn was available for free. It is ideal. A wise decision. It is quite good. This avoids the rook's check. It is quite good. That is a logical response. It is quite good. This moves the checking rook farther away. It is ideal. Though not the best move technically, it was interesting. It is quite good. This moves the checking rook farther away. That's good. The rook is now on a square that is more secure. It is quite good. This defends the attacked pawn. It is best. An opponent's passed pawn can't advance if a rook is positioned behind it. It is quite good. This immobilizes the opponent's knight by pinning it to the king. It is excellent. Sudden a close game that was lost by a mistake. That game was pretty competitive. Both players had an amazing opening. White was a cut above black in the middle game. Both players had a nice end game.